Captain Dae-ho Kim stood on the bridge of the mountain's shadow, his large frame easily supporting his weight despite the ship's enhanced gravity. Like all kitten, his body was built for strength, thick bones, dense muscles, and a sturdy build that made other species look weak in comparison. He looked at the main screen, watching stars streak by as his ship moved through space. The mountain's shadow was the pride of the Chiton fleet, built to show their power to the galaxy. Its hulls were kept at 3 times standard gravity, a comfort for the kitten but impossible for most other species to walk in. "Captain," called out Officer Hae-yun Lee from her science station, "the council meeting will start in 10 minutes. Her voice was steady, used to speaking under the heavy gravity that would crush most aliens. Dae-ho nodded. These council meetings were always the same. The other species would talk about trade, politics, and exploration, while sitting in their low-gravity chambers. Only the kitten had to use special chairs to keep from floating in what they saw as pathetically weak artificial gravity. The kitten had ruled the Galactic Council for over 200 years. They came from Kita, a planet with gravity so strong it would kill most other species instantly. This made them natural warriors, leaders, and protectors of the galaxy. No other species could match their strength or endurance. "Put the council chamber on screen," Dae-ho ordered. The large display lit up, showing representatives from 20 different species. Most were thin, delicate creatures that lived on worlds the kitten considered barely habitable. Sun Nikang, his security chief, stood beside him. "Another boring meeting," she whispered. "These weak species talk too much." But before the meeting could start, all screens on the bridge flashed red. A signal, strong and clear, was coming from somewhere in deep space. Hae-yun's fingers moved quickly over her console. "Captain," she called out, her eyes wide. "We're picking up a transmission from the dead zone." Everyone on the bridge turned to look. The dead zone was a region of space with gravity so intense that no known species could survive there. The kitten had tried to explore it centuries ago, losing 3 ships before declaring it impossible to reach. "That can't be right," Dae-ho said, walking to Hae-yun's station. "Nothing can live in those conditions. Even our strongest ships would be crushed." "The signal is artificial," Hae-yun insisted. "And it's not just one. I'm picking up thousands of them. There's an entire civilization in there." Dae-ho felt his heart beat faster. This was impossible. The gravity in the dead zone was even stronger than on Kita. His people were the strongest in the galaxy, evolved from the harshest known world. Nothing could survive in conditions worse than their home. "Send a message to High Command," he ordered. "Tell them we're going to investigate." "But Captain," Sunmid protested, "those conditions would tear apart our ship." "We are Chiton," Dae-ho said firmly. "If something is living in those conditions, we need to know what it is. Set course for the signal source." As the mountain's shadow turned toward the dead zone, Dae-ho couldn't shake a strange feeling. His people had always been proud of their strength, their ability to survive where others couldn't. But if something was living in the dead zone, perhaps, he thought, watching the deadly region of space grow larger on his screen, we are not as unique as we believed. The ship moved forward, carrying its crew toward a discovery that would change their understanding of the galaxy forever. The mountain's shadow approached the edge of the dead zone slowly. Warning alarms filled the bridge as the ship's sensors detected the crushing gravity ahead. Captain Dae-ho watched his crew work, their strong bodies moving easily despite the strain. "Gravity levels are twice what we have on Kita," Hae-yun reported from her station. Her fingers moved quickly across the screens as she took readings. "But I'm detecting cities, huge cities. There are billions of life forms down there." Dae-ho couldn't believe what he was hearing. His own people struggled to build cities on Kita, and this gravity was even stronger. "Show me," he ordered. The main screen lit up with images that made the entire bridge crew gasp. Massive buildings reached into the sky. Flying vehicles moved between them in organized lanes. Green parks and bodies of water dotted the landscape. "It looks like a vacation world," Sunmai said in disbelief. But that's impossible. Nothing should be able to just live there like it's normal. The light flashed on the communication panel. Captain, the communications officer called out, "We're receiving a transmission. They're using standard galactic frequencies." "Put it through," Daho ordered, straightening his uniform. The screen changed to show a face that looked surprisingly normal. The alien had 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth, but its body seemed almost fragile compared to the kitten. "Welcome to Earth. I'm Jeho Park, First Contact Specialist," the alien said with a smile. "We've been wondering when the galactic community would find us." The casual greeting shocked everyone on the bridge. These aliens weren't just surviving. They were comfortable enough to be friendly. "This is Captain Daho Kim of the Katan Empire," Daho replied formally. "We did not expect to find life here. Your gravity levels are beyond survivable limits." Jeho laughed, a sound that seemed strange in such a serious moment. "Oh, is that why no one's visited? We thought we were doing something wrong with our signals. Would you like to come down? We have landing facilities that can handle ships much larger than yours." Sunme stepped forward. "Our ship cannot withstand your gravity for long periods," she said, "and our bodies, though stronger than most species, would be crushed." "Oh," Jeho's eyes widened in understanding. "We can adjust the gravity in the landing bay to make you comfortable. What level would you prefer? We usually keep it at Earth standard, but we can lower it." The bridge crew looked at each other in confusion. These aliens could control such powerful gravity, as if it was nothing. What do you call your species?" Heiyun asked. "We're humans," Jeho replied. "Though we have many different cultures and nations, that's what we all are. Will you be joining us on the surface? We'd love to learn about life beyond our solar system." Daho made a quick decision. "We accept your invitation. Please send landing coordinates." As they prepared to land, Heiyun studied her readings more closely. "Captain," she said quietly, "these humans, they're not using any special equipment or suits. They're just walking around in this gravity like we walk around on Kita. And they look happy." The mountain's shadow descended through Earth's atmosphere, following the landing guidance. Through the viewports, they could see humans going about their daily lives. Running, playing, lifting things, all under gravity that should have been impossible to survive. All this time, Daho said to himself, "We thought we were the strongest because we survived on Kita. But these humans..." He watched a group of human children running and jumping in what his sensors told him was crushing gravity. These humans call this normal. The ship landed softly in a massive bay, and the crew of the Mountain's Shadow prepared to meet a species that would change everything they thought they knew about strength and survival. The meeting room on Earth felt strange to the kitten crew. Despite the crushing gravity outside, the humans had made it comfortable for their visitors. Security Chief Sunmai watched as human officials walked in, moving with an ease that bothered her warrior instincts. "Please, help yourself to some refreshments," said Jeho, pointing to a table filled with Earth food and drinks. The kitten crew stayed back, unsure. Even with their strength, lifting things in Earth's gravity should be difficult. But humans were picking up heavy plates and cups like they weighed nothing. Heiyun was the first to step forward, her scientific curiosity winning over caution. She picked up what the humans called a coffee cup. It felt heavy, much heavier than it should. "How do you make these so light?" she asked. Jeho looked confused. "Light? That's just a regular ceramic cup. Nothing special about it." Captain Daho watched a group of human soldiers training through the window. They were running with heavy packs, climbing walls, and fighting each other in practice battles, all in gravity that should have made such things impossible. "Your military training," he said, trying to hide his surprise. "It's very intense." "Oh, that's just basic training," replied Colonel Yumho, the human military leader. "Nothing special. Wait until you see our Special Forces units. They train in much tougher conditions." Sunmai almost dropped her datapad. Tougher? What could be tougher than this gravity? Young-ho smiled. Well, we train in all kinds of places. Desert, Arctic, underwater, high mountains. Earth has many different environments. Our soldiers need to be ready for anything. Haeyun was scanning everything with her devices. Captain, she said quietly to Daho, according to these readings, humans consider Earth to be a moderate environment. They have colonies on worlds with even higher gravity. The kitten crew looked at each other in shock. Their own people could barely survive short visits to places with gravity stronger than Kita. But humans were treating such conditions as normal. Would you like to see our space fleet? Jaiho asked. We have ships designed for many different conditions. As they walked through the human military base, the kitten saw things that changed their view of the galaxy forever. Human ships were built to work in gravity that would crush chitin vessels. Their weapons could fire in conditions that would tear apart chitin guns. But what surprised them most was how peaceful the humans seemed. Despite their incredible strength and toughness, they weren't aggressive or warlike. Children played in parks, people smiled and laughed, artists painted pictures, all under gravity that the kitten had thought would make life impossible. I don't understand, Sunmai said to a human guard. With your strength, you could conquer many worlds. Why haven't you? The guard looked surprised. Why would we want to do that? There's so much to learn from other cultures. War should be the last option, not the first. Captain Daho stood by the window, watching the sunset over the human city. His people had always been proud of their strength, thinking it made them special. But these humans were stronger, and they didn't even think it was important. Perhaps, he said to Haeyun, we have been wrong about what makes a species truly strong. Haeyun nodded, still taking readings of everything around them. They're not just surviving here, Captain. They're thriving. And they do it without even thinking about it. As night fell over Earth, the kitten crew had to face a new truth. They weren't the toughest species in the galaxy anymore. And somehow, that didn't feel as bad as they thought it would. The peaceful meetings on Earth were suddenly interrupted by urgent news. Captain Daho was in the middle of watching a human sports game, something they called football played in Earth's crushing gravity, when his communicator buzzed loudly. Captain, the voice of his ship's communication officer was filled with fear. The Ravagers have attacked the chitin colony on New Kita. They broke through our defenses like they were nothing. The human officials in the room noticed the change in the chitin crew's faces. Is everything okay? Jaiho asked, concerned. No, Daho said grimly. Our worst enemies, the Ravagers, have attacked one of our colonies. They're a species that uses powered armor to fight in high gravity. We've fought them before, but never. They're stronger this time, Sunmai added, reading the reports on her device. Their new armor lets them fight even better than before in high gravity. Our soldiers can't stop them. The room went quiet. Then Ambassador Taiwan stepped forward. He was a calm man who usually spoke softly, but now his voice was firm. Earth can help. We have experience fighting in conditions much worse than New Kita. This isn't your fight, Daho said. The kitten handle their own problems. Taiwan smiled gently. Captain, in the last few days, you've seen what humans can do. We're not trying to show off or take over. We're offering help because that's what friends do. More reports came in. The Ravagers were destroying everything on New Kita. Families were running from their homes. The kitten defense forces were failing. Haeyun, who had been quiet, suddenly spoke up. Captain, look at these readings from the human military bases. Their standard equipment works perfectly in New Kita's gravity. Their soldiers train in even worse conditions. They could. The Galactic Council needs to approve any military help, Sunmai interrupted. And they never act quickly. By the time they decide, New Kita will be lost. Then we don't wait, said Colonel Young-ho. He had been watching quietly but now stood up. Earth has a rapid response force ready to launch in 1 hour. Just say the word. Daho looked around the room. His people's pride had always told them to fight alone. But watching humans these past few days had taught him something new about strength. Sometimes real strength means accepting help. "How many ships can you send?" he asked. 20 battleships are ready now," Young-ho replied. "All crews are trained for high-gravity combat. We can have 100 more ready in 12 hours. The Kitten crew was shocked. That was more ships than their entire fleet. "The Council," Sunmai started to say. "The Council can debate while we save lives," Taiwan said firmly. "Sometimes doing the right thing is more important than following rules." Captain Daeho stood up straight. His people were in danger, and here were humans, creatures who could survive conditions that scared even the Kitten, offering to help without asking for anything in return. "We accept your help," he said, "but the Council will be angry." Jaiho laughed. "Let them be angry. We can deal with politics after we save your people." Within an hour, human ships were launching from Earth. Their crews moved with purpose, wearing normal uniforms while Kitten would have needed special suits. They weren't showing off. They were simply doing what came naturally to them. As Daeho watched the human fleet prepare for battle, he realized that the galaxy was about to learn something his people had just discovered. There's more than one kind of strength, and humans seem to have them all. Commander Young-ho stood on the bridge of the human flagship Earth's Thunder as it dropped out of faster-than-light travel near New Kita. Beside him, Captain Daeho watched in amazement as the human crew moved easily despite the growing gravity. Ravager ships detected, called out a human sensor operator. 30 vessels, all in attack formation. The view screen showed the enemy ships. Black, spiky vessels that looked like angry insects. They had already destroyed 3 Kitten defense stations and were bombing the surface. "All ships, battle formation Delta," Young-ho ordered calmly. "Remember your training. This gravity is nothing compared to the Jupiter defense exercises." Daeho watched as the human fleet moved with perfect precision. His own ships would have struggled to maneuver in New Kita's gravity, but the human vessels flew as if they were in open space. "Enemy fighters incoming," Sunmai reported from her station. She had joined the human ship to help coordinate with Kitten forces. What happened next amazed everyone. Human pilots flew their ships in ways that should have been impossible. They twisted and turned through gravity that would have torn apart Kitten fighters. Their weapons fired with deadly accuracy. "Squad 2, protect the colony's main dome," Young-ho commanded. "Squad 3 with me. We're going to show them why you don't attack civilians when humans are around." On the surface, human soldiers were already helping. They wore light combat suits, not the heavy armor that other species needed. They ran through the crushing gravity, carrying Kitten children to safety and fighting Ravager ground forces. Hei-yun, monitoring from her science station, couldn't believe the readings. "Captain," she said to Daeho, "the human soldiers. They're not using any gravity compensation. They're fighting at full strength in these conditions." A Ravager ship exploded as human weapons hit it. Unlike Kitten weapons, which struggled in high gravity, human guns worked perfectly. They had been designed on Earth, tested in even worse conditions. "Commander," called out a human officer, "Ravager forces are retreating from the South Continent." Young-ho nodded. "They're learning. Humanity might be peaceful, but we know how to fight when we need to." Daeho watched a human soldier on the surface lift a fallen piece of building that would have needed 3 Kitten to move. The soldier wasn't showing off. He was just helping, using his natural strength to save lives. "It's not just their strength," Sunmai said quietly. "Look at how they fight. They're not angry or proud. They're just efficient." She was right. The humans fought with calm skill. There were no battle cries, no boasting. They worked together like a well-oiled machine, protecting the colony with the same care they would protect their own homes. "Enemy fleet is pulling back," announced the sensor operator. "They're running." The bridge crew cheered, but Young-ho stayed focused. "Maintain pursuit range. Make sure they leave the system. and get medical teams to the surface immediately. As the Ravager ships fled, Daho turned to Young-ho. Your people fought like nothing I have ever seen. Not just strong, but smart and coordinated. Young-ho shrugged. This is what humans do. We help where we can. Though I have to admit, he smiled. It felt good to show those Ravagers that they're not as tough as they think they are. Looking at the tactical display, Daho saw more human ships arriving. Reinforcements they hadn't even needed. His people had called themselves the strongest in the galaxy for centuries. Now they had seen what true strength looked like, and it wore a human face. The battle was over, but Daho knew that the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, not with conquest, but with protection and help freely given. 2 weeks after the battle for New Kita, He-yun sat in her lab on the mountain's shadow, staring at her research screens in disbelief. She had been studying data about humans, and what she found was almost impossible to believe. Captain, she called Daho on the ship's comm system. You need to see this immediately. When Daho arrived, He-yun wasn't alone. Several human scientists were with her, helping her understand their species. They stood comfortably in the chitin ship's heavy gravity, drinking coffee and eating snacks as if they were at a casual meeting. What have you found? Daho asked. He-yun took a deep breath. Sir, humans aren't just adapted to high gravity. They can adapt to almost anything. She pointed to her screens. Look at their colonies. The displays showed human settlements in places that made everyone's jaw drop. They had cities under Earth's oceans, bases in the crushing gravity of massive planets, and colonies in places so hot or cold that most species would die instantly. This is their colony on Venus, one of the human scientists, Minji, said casually. It's hot enough to melt lead there, but we figured out how to live on the surface. It took some clever engineering, but it's quite comfortable now. Sun Mai, who had just walked in, stared at the images. How is this possible? We're endurance predators, Minji explained, sipping her coffee. Early humans didn't have claws or huge teeth. We couldn't run as fast as our prey, but we could keep going longer than anything else. We still can. He-yun pulled up more data. Captain, humans can survive in conditions that would kill any other species. Their bodies adapt to different gravity levels within weeks. They can live in thin air or deep underwater. They eat foods that would poison others. And most amazingly, they pass these adaptations to their children. Watch this, Minji said, bringing up a video. It showed human children playing in what the data said was twice Earth's gravity. These kids were born on a high-gravity world. To them, this is normal. They're actually stronger than Earth-born humans now. Daho sat down heavily. His people had been proud of surviving on Kita, thinking it made them special. But humans could live anywhere. They didn't just survive. They thrived, adapted, and made each new environment their home. There's more, He-yun said quietly. Remember how easily they defeated the Ravagers. Humans are still evolving, still getting stronger. Every new colony, every new challenge makes them more adaptable. But you're so peaceful, Sun Mai said to Minji. With these abilities, you could rule the galaxy. Minji laughed. Why would we want to rule anything? There's so much to learn, so many new places to explore. We'd rather make friends than conquests. Just then, news came from the Galactic Council. They were angry about the humans intervening without permission. They demanded humans explain their actions. What will your people do? Daho asked Minji. She shrugged. We'll go to the council, explain why we helped. Show them that working together makes everyone stronger. She smiled. After all, that's how humans became what we are, by helping each other survive. He-yun looked at her data again. Captain, I don't think the council understands what humans really are. They're not just Deathworlders. They're the ultimate survivors, the most adaptable species we've ever found. Daeho nodded slowly. His people would need to change how they saw themselves in the galaxy. But watching Minji chat happily with his crew, sharing stories and jokes in gravity that should have crushed her, he realized that maybe change wasn't such a bad thing. The humans hadn't just shown them a new kind of strength. They'd shown them a new way of seeing the universe, not as a place to conquer, but as a place to explore and understand together. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was packed. Representatives from every known species had come to discuss the humans and their actions at Nukita. Captain Daeho stood with his crew, watching as Ambassador Taiwan calmly walked to the speaker's platform. The council leader, a being from a low-gravity world, spoke first. "Humans, you interfered in Khitan affairs without permission. You broke our laws. What do you have to say?" Taiwan smiled gently. "We saw people who needed help, so we helped. Sometimes doing the right thing is more important than following rules." "But who are you to decide what's right?" another council member demanded. "You're new to the galaxy. You don't understand our ways." Heiyun stepped forward, carrying her research data. "If I may speak," she said, "I study the humans. They understand more than you think." She showed her findings to the council. Images of human colonies in impossible places, data about their adaptability, proof of their peaceful achievements. "Look at what they've done," she continued. "They can live anywhere, survive anything. But instead of using that strength to conquer, they use it to help others." Sun Mei joined in. "I watched human soldiers risk their lives to save Khitan children. They fought in gravity that would kill most species, not because they had to, but because it was right." The council chamber buzzed with whispers. On screens around the room, images showed human achievements. Cities under Earth's oceans, colonies on worlds of fire and ice, medical breakthroughs that helped all species. "We didn't come here to take over," Taiwan said quietly. "We came to learn, to share, to help. Yes, we're strong. Yes, we can survive almost anywhere. But that's not what makes us special." He walked among the council members, speaking directly to each one. "What makes us special is that we never stop trying to be better. We never stop trying to help others be better too." Captain Daeho watched as the council's mood slowly changed. They were starting to understand what he had learned on Earth, that true strength wasn't about power or pride. "The Ravagers attacked again yesterday," he announced to the council. "But this time, they found something new. Human and Khitan ships fighting together. We drove them back without losing a single civilian life." The council leader leaned forward. "You're suggesting an alliance with the humans." "I'm suggesting more than that," Daeho replied. "I'm suggesting we learn from them. My people thought we were special because we could survive on Kita. The humans showed us we were thinking too small." Taiwan nodded. "Earth has a saying. A rising tide lifts all boats. We don't want to rule the galaxy. We want to help make it better for everyone." One by one, council members began to nod. They had feared these strange humans at first, these beings who could survive anywhere. But now they were seeing the truth. Humans weren't just survivors. They were teachers, helpers, friends. "The council recognizes humanity as a full member of the galactic community," the council leader announced. "And we thank you for your help at Nukita." Later, as they left the council chamber, Heiyun turned to Taiwan. "You could have told them how strong humans really are. Why didn't you?" Taiwan smiled. "Because strength isn't about what you can do. It's about what you choose to do with it." Captain Daeho looked out at the stars through a nearby window. His people had learned something important from the humans. Being strong didn't mean you had to be alone. Being tough didn't mean you couldn't be kind. The galaxy was changing. Humans were showing everyone a new way forward, not through force or fear, but through cooperation and help freely given. And maybe that was the greatest strength of all.